but that also brings up some philosophical questions on our creation.
Definitely.
Why we are here, and there's really something in us, our spirit or whatever, no, that could make a difference. Maybe with AI we will discover a lot of things regarding our beginnings, no?
Yeah, maybe even understanding what it means to be human.
If we are saying that we are reaching or moving towards a society with a higher level of consciousness, being aware or starting to being aware of how we are destroying our planet, like it or not, we have this responsibility. What we're gonna do, we're gonna look the other way and act like if we haven't noticed this. No, long term, it's a burden that we don't want to live with. So let's act the best we can. So excited to fail and to fail and to fail faster, because I feel that I'm learning a lot from my recent experiences, and AI is helping me also to fail faster, because we are able to build things and to access to technology so much faster than it used to be. It's not about being right, it's about being okay with being wrong. So you have to trust what you are doing and where are you heading to, and you're gonna be wrong 100 times during the way, but I do believe that at some point we'll look back and think, okay, how cool was that, this journey that we are experiencing right now by taking these risks and everything that comes with it.
Hi, and welcome back to New World in the Making. This is an episode I've been really looking forward to. A conversation with someone who's building at the edge, where AI meets entrepreneurship, but who's also asking much deeper questions. Rubén previously worked at Amazon and is now not just thinking about what we can create with AI, but what kind of people we become in the process. We speak about being human in a time of exponential tools, about learning, unlearning, and the courage it takes to grow, especially when failure is part of the process. So let's dive in. Welcome, Rubén, to the show. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me today here.
It's my pleasure, really. And we have so many topics that I would love to dive into. But before, maybe let's try to just go back a little bit and go to you as a person. What would you say are the pivotal moments that shaped you and brought you where you are today?
That's a great question. Thank you. For me, several factors have brought me here where I am today. Where I am today is in the entrepreneurial world, this risky place, and for me, the reasons are how I have changed my priorities or defined my values through the years. As an example, my background is computer science. I studied like the technical part of this technological world, and then I moved into a role in operations at Amazon that it was not related to that, because at that moment my priorities were to learn how to work with people, and I was very interested in that, into management. And some months ago, my priorities changed again. I believe that it comes aligned with growing as a person, no, and having new values and understanding new things. And right now, I value more freedom and being aligned with putting my hours of the day in things that I'm aligned with. And then that's why I jumped into the entrepreneurial thing.
That's so interesting. And I think, a lot of us in this generation are experiencing this. What do you think is happening? Why are we experiencing that shift in maybe values?
That's a very interesting topic. I think that we are, as individuals, we also are realizing that we are shifting into more purpose. It For me, there are two factors. One, that we are growing, and when with growth, uh, ev- every year we try to be more authentic, or uh, be really aligned with our goals in life. We understand and develop um, new phases of consciousness, no? But an example for me to bring this down to, because I do really understand things when I'm able to bring them down to a real examples, is that with social media and media in general, we see a lot of examples of how our lives can be lived. This happens in social media, no? You used to we are getting used to see the best lives of everyone, and that is constantly challenging ourselves into, okay, maybe I could live my life in a different way. Maybe my 9 to 5 is not everything I should aim for, no? And these thoughts that we have as individuals, I believe that most of the people is having them, no? And that is making the society in general to shift into a more consciousness or purpose living.
And do you think that we're going into that purpose, and what are the challenges that you see and you have maybe also personally experienced, challenges in terms of maybe going into what is that purpose and what are these new values that are important for me now, and also kind of living also within the world that we are still part of as well. In that 9 to 5, we still have to have a salary in some way or some sort of income to maintain maybe the lifestyle that we want and be able to afford that shift of value. Like, how do you do that transition, and what are the challenges there?
That's super interesting, because money comes into the conversation, right?
Yes. The
And
part of it.
for me, that I now, being into the entrepreneurial thing, I can sound like, okay, I'm a bold guy who's jumping into these risks, but I'm quite conservative into that, and it was difficult for me. But for me, the solution has been not to overthink on that too much.
How do you
Mm,
do that?
Maybe being a little bit naive, no?
Yeah.
And developing this confidence of trying it. And every time I have this conversation, fear kicks in, and and I think, okay, maybe this pursuit of purpose, it's too much of a philosophical thing. But when you look back, I want to believe that when I look backwards into what we are doing now, um, like, it was not too much of a risk. Once your basic needs can be covered, I have been in a position in which I have needed to be working in a corporate for several years before doing this this move, no? But once I realized that my basic needs were covered, uh, what felt most natural for me was to jump into that, because I didn't want to be in some years wondering the what if thing, no?
And okay, so you're now in that moment of building something.
Okay.
Can you walk us through what are you building and how was the process of it?
Okay, so there have been some challenges and changes since our last conversation,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
to give
Curious.
to give a little bit of context, I I started building with a partner an application with the purpose in general was to um, make people eat better, okay, and help people with the eating thing, because one of the things that I think I have sorted out is that as you said right now, we are shifting into a society who looks for purpose, who looks for higher level of consciousness, and also thinking in my own interest, looking into the future markets. I think that market of activities related to eating better, well-being, mental health, mm, improving your life in a way that it's aligned with, for me, the good things in life. No, it's gonna grow a lot. So thinking on my own, into my on my own interest, I want to pursue these markets for two things, because I believe in that. Because I do believe that the market there is exploding. No, and we started building this application. It was a meal planner, powered with AI, because thanks to AI, a lot of technological barriers that there were in the past for building these complete meal planners that can plan your weeks and provide with shopping lists and everything, are now solved and are now way more accessible with AI. But I had here my first failure. That's also why I jumped into entrepreneurial, because my partner decided to stop working into this project because his priorities changed. So 2 weeks ago, I found myself with this project without the technological part of it. That was my partner, because my background is computer science, but I have focused in different things, on product, on the business part of the app, no. And I had a big challenge here, a door closed, but I I had the belief, no, that a window would open. So 1 week ago, I have started another project. I can't explain in detail what it is about, because we are in the phase of like starting to build the MVP and validating our idea. But I'm going to explain that is related to mental health, and that we are now, my day right now is meeting with professionals of mental health, like trying to validate this thought that we had. And yeah, that's it a little bit.
Okay, I love how how things just evolve so much, and I love how you just said, well, it's first failure, and this is also why you jumped into um doing entrepreneurship to also, I guess, maybe I read a LinkedIn post that you wrote, and you were talking about failure and growth.
This
And
post was right after that happened.
right now, everything makes sense now.
Yeah.
And are you still with your partner doing this new project, or is it someone else?
It's someone else. Um, One of the things that I'm learning in this journey is to expose myself, no, into new, expose myself out there. Right now with this podcast with you, um, going to meetups also, no, to meet uh, entrepreneurs and new people who is interested in the same things that I am. And thanks to that, I've met people during the way, and now the opportunity comes from one of these persons that I meet during the way. We had a conversation, we had a coffee some weeks ago, because we like to share, know how are we doing with our things and so on. And he um, when he found that I was stopping that project, I was looking for new adventures. He came in, and that was thanks to being exposed there, no, and sharing, because sharing always has something to bring to your life. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool to see how life just happens, right? And like one thing leads to another, and it's just a constant
Yeah.
venture.
There's one friend of mine always says, I'm gonna quote him here, to plant seeds. He sees these interactions as planting seeds. No, like the day we met in that coffee place, that was a seed, that was an interaction that is leading now into this conversation. Who knows from this conversation what could happen? No, in the next when this is shared online, and if you plant seeds, my friend says that these seeds start to growing into plants,
The forest
and
builds.
yeah, and
I
that's what's
love that. I
happening.
love that metaphor. That's really nice. And is this new adventure also going to be powered by AI in some way?
Human will be on the center,
Mm-hmm.
and we will use AI to empower the human.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I would love to ask you things about AI because I feel
Okay.
you're gonna know a lot about maybe someone is out there also wanting to start a business and wants to use AI for it or wants to have AI included in the business.
Okay.
And what are the steps that also you would maybe recommend? Or yeah, let's start with the steps first, and then we can see where we go from there.
Okay. So for me, the steps were quite natural
Okay.
because I started studying and learning about AI when I was at university. Studied computer science, and I uh, got specialized into machine learning.
Okay.
That
So
is
you're
kind.
basically the pro for AI.
At that point, yes, but then I moved into new roles. My time was put was yeah. I focused my days into management, other kind of skills, but that was my foundation. I was working during my time at university into fine-tuning models, like more in the technical part of what we see now as AI with an UI, where people can chat and get some insights, out of it. And if I had to write down some bullets or steps for someone who wanted to get familiar with and start with AI, um, that's a great question, because my journey is defined by what I did study, but everything comes down to curiosity. To curiosity.
I love that. I love that you're saying that because I was about to ask you also a question about curiosity and how do you keep that curiosity for you? Because I sense you're a very curious person. How do you nurture curiosity?
It's a very good question, because I feel that it's if you are curious in today's world, it's a very heavy burden, because you have a lot of information out there, and a lot of information that is made for you to get trapped into that reel of 15 seconds, into that YouTube video of 10 minutes. What is working for me, in order to step by step and in a natural way building knowledge, is to read books. And for example, let me introduce your series of articles, no, New World in the Making. For me, it's a very good way of so it's very important how we consume this knowledge. For me, books are a great source of knowledge, because you can dive deep into a topic. For sure, you're gonna put some hours there, but you're gonna get some depth on that topic. The depth that you're not gonna get if you are consuming content in a very fractioned way. And also, you can focus on that topic for some time. That
Yeah.
makes you learn during the day also about that thing, no? Because you are having a series of knowledge to read about, and that's why I like to read your articles, because I feel that is a continuous um, way of learning things related to the same thing. I don't know if I have expressed myself, but
Yes, no, totally. And do you have any recommendations of books that you've been recently blown away by?
yeah. Um, so far,
Mm.
I have on the top of my podium of books. I loved one book from Del Carnegie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this okay, but it's named "How to Win Friends and Influence People."
Mm.
The
I think I've heard about this one.
the title of this book for me doesn't. It's not as good as the book, I would say, but it's super interesting. It's a book written plus 50 years ago, but it's so relatable to today's world, how we interact, and it makes you realize that being genuinely interested in people is what makes all the difference.
So what key takeaways would you say you got from there? Especially with AI now. I think yesterday I was just listening to a podcast with Simon Sinek where he was talking about AI and how
Okay.
it's maybe making us lose our human skills with each other. And he was really emphasizing like we need to still know how to be a good friend. We still need to know how to be in a relationship and not just ask ChatGPT, how do I respond to this and that when my boss says this. But it's really about, okay, we still need to have those human skills and interrelationship skills. Is that going into that direction?
I haven't thought this way before, but it could be in that direction. Um, this book emphasizes on and really understanding that a conversation is part of of two people, no? Like you're having someone in front of you, and there are no techniques for being liked by people, for interacting by people. Everything comes down to being really interested in other people. Like i- by several by a lot of examples, this book tries to really make you believe that the best way to interact with people is to be really interested in people, in humans. And with AI, there's a risk of losing that,
Why?
no? Because mm, I have adopted ChatGPT into my everyday into my everyday life.
Same.
I'm sure that I have stopped. I have avoided asking counsel at some point. Maybe not uh, being conscious of that, but that I have relied on ChatGPT for some counsel instead of asking a friend, no, or calling my partner at some point. So there's a risk for that. Yeah, for sure. And if we are not conscious, maybe thanks to this conversation, I'm gonna be conscious about that thing, no? If we are not conscious that this could happen, it's risky.
Mm. What kind of risks do you see with AI besides that?
So the risk for me of AI is it's giving me some thinking time during these days is that there's a battle for owning AI, and it's so powerful, no? Everything that can be done with AI. Mm, We can talk about robotics at home. We can talk about user profiling, everyone, because now I'm sure that ChatGPT. Bueno, I tried this. If you ask ChatGPT about yourself, it's amazing the level of information that they have about you as an individual. No, they can profile you and market you.
They have you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if we reach to a point in which one big company owns AI, it's gonna be risky because they would have a lot of power over you as an individual because um, they have a lot of information. They do. I would like to think that we will reach a point because I I try to be optimistic in which AI will be open sourced and it will be one technological commodity from which everyone could build over, right? But there's a risk in that sense because me at that moment I'm building a project on top of AI models that are private from, in this case, from OpenAI. They
Wait,
have a lot of power over your
but
business.
sorry, just to this is something I was hoping to understand with you.
Okay.
So when you start the business, right? Um, whatever AI business, you build on top of OpenAI's models. Is that right?
You can build on top of every available model out there, and there are open source model that you can run in your own machines, and models that you are running on their machines. That those are the private models.
Okay. And what's the difference?
The difference is that you own or you do not own the information.
And why would then someone not want to own it? Is it a price thing? Is it
It's convenience. It's convenience. So, in terms of costs of development, they are building up a product that it's a model that you can easily adapt to your business instead of having a bigger team of engineers who are getting that open source model, adapting it to your needs.
Okay, so it's basically either
It's easier.
it's easier. Okay.
It's easier.
Because okay. I think in my last article I'm writing about Jensen, this decentralized AI
Okay.
network.
Which one? I didn't get it.
Jensen.
Jensen, not familiar with.
Um, it's just for me to really try to understand how this would work because I'm just like you, hoping or just aiming for a decentralization of AI.
Okay.
Because I think as well, just as you, that a massive risk is the centralization of AI. And I listened to these two founders of Jensen talk about how a decentralization of AI is possible, but because it's just such a huge compute power that is in the hands of just a few, OpenAI, Google, well, we know them.
Yeah.
And that compute power is the thing that makes everything so centralized because we have, in one way or another, access to data, and we have, in one way or another, access to the knowledge, right? So open source data and open source knowledge. But then the compute power is the thing that is really inhibiting startups to really grow to the potential that OpenAI maybe can have.
Yeah.
So they offer a network operation that is basically a network that really shares all the compute power among all the nodes in the network. So I thought that was just mind blowing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, this
And
is
talking about this, how's it possible?
this is this is a little bit on the shades, hidden on the shades, like
Yeah.
everything related to crypto, no?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that this is crazy, or do you think this is possible? Like, what? Because I
No,
mean,
I think that this is. I'm not an expert. I did some crypto courses during my university, and I understand how the blockchain works, but I'm not an expert. Right? I didn't know
no, me neither.
those people, but that for sure there's a solution there. I don't know really if we could cover the computational uh, cost or power that needs to fuel, for example, OpenAI models with the decentralized network, but that has a lot of potential, and for sure it's against the interest of the big parties, and that's why it's not being talked
Yeah.
a lot.
And this would be part of what you were saying, if you do your own model.
Owning the machines, that could be a way of owning the machines.
Right. Because
Having models that work on the decentralized network, yeah.
also, I mean, if you own your own AI, you don't need only whole engineer team to build your own AI. It's also that you need a lot of compute power, and that
Yeah.
costs a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it's like a no thinker when we are starting our project, we use them.
So
There are
basically,
some
yeah.
projects that could aim to create their own models. There are a lot of players that are working on that, but the vast majority of startups using AI, they focus on using AI for the best use of its customers, like thinking about the what's the usability of AI.
Yeah.
We do not go farther on the model because there's another game.
Right. So essentially, all the startups, most of them, the majority, is actually building on top of what is already OpenAI.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are kind of feeding the whole thing to even be more.
Yeah,
That's me. Okay.
yeah, and that's a thing. That's a thing because there was a lot of hate at the beginning of uh, AI being used into startups, no? But for me, the thing is, what I like to think is that it's gonna be another commodity, like it was databases at when they started, like it was um, software when it started in general.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're gonna reach that level, and the discussion it's gonna be okay. How are you benefiting your users with AI instead of no, I'm building something on top of AI, then it's amazing. No, the real value is on the market. If you find market fit with the use of AI, it's perfect. But it's not gonna be using AI the difference between adding value to the user or not.
Yeah. I see. I see what you're saying. Gosh, I have so many questions. Okay, let's start maybe with, besides AI.
Okay.
I want to get back to AI, but just to maybe get a bigger picture of everything that's happening right now.
Okay.
What
You're
is
you're making me think a lot, today.
I'm also thinking a lot. But I just want to know so much of what you're thinking it.
Okay.
What sensation do you have right now of the drivers of change? Is it just AI? Is it mainly AI? Is something else happening? What are the main drivers that you feel are just shaping this transition? I mean, if you feel like, I mean, I think you do, that we all feel this, there's something changing, right? Is there this sensation of change?
Yeah, I think there are three main points, no, that we could, or three main factors that are the cultural, the economical, and in our interest, the technological, no? We are shifting culturally. We have talked about it previously. We
Yeah.
are shifting into more purpose, into more alignment, um, and this is affecting how we organize ourselves in terms of the economic structure. And I do believe that it's gonna have an effect in the future, because at the end of the day, we the younger generations, we're gonna form we're gonna be in the power positions in some years. And if we as a society we're moving towards mm, this alignment, this purpose, it's gonna change. But everything comes from the culture, and
And
also
how, yeah,
into the also into the technological field as well. There are big parties wanting to own AI. That's natural because that's their business right now. But there's also a lot of people building projects into, and I know that you are familiar with some of them, no? Some of them like uh, rebel
corporate rebel.
corporate rebels, um, and there's a lot of projects like this. People is shifting from what it was established to new ways of working. And I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not able to imagine what will happen, but I'm sure that there will be a lot of changes on that. But everything comes for me, everything comes from how culturally we are changing.
And why do you feel is that you were in the beginning mentioning that it's because when we are growing, no, we are developing and evolving, and is that why we are culturally just changing, or is there more that is there? Why now also? What why now?
Maybe AI also um, has a big influence here, because also a lot of people starts to fear losing what it is established right now. Like a simple example, your 9 to 5. AI is replacing also
Yeah.
a lot of works, and it will in the future. And for me, the biggest breakthrough will arrive when hardware. Right now, we are using AI with a screen, a computer, a keyboard, a mouse. But what will happen when we have hardware specifically built for AI, like robotics, Internet of Things? There's also a lot of potential there. Um, we've seen recently, 1 week ago, OpenAI is joining forces with Johnny Ives, which is the designer of iPhone.
Oh.
They acquired their company for $6.5 billion, and they do not have a product which is publicly on the market. So they are acquiring a vision, and this vision is to use AI into hardware. And That's scary.
Why is that scary?
Because it's the unknown.
And how do
Yeah,
you think we're coping with change? How do you think as a society we are doing?
the best we can.
That's a good one. Yeah.
The, some are denying it. Some want to regulate it. I like to think that I'm trying to adapt to it and use it for my best interest. That it will also be the best interest for everyone. But yeah, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change.
And what, in your opinion, what is our role? What should we be doing?
That's a heavy responsibility you're placing into my answer.
Take it one step at a time. Like there's no good answer or wrong answer.
um,
I don't know the answer.
Work.
Wait.
No, but for me right now,
Mm.
I mentioned it before. As individuals, I don't think there's a one correct answer, but
I don't think so either.
for me, like in my personal case, my values are to impact in a positive way my surroundings. I will try to use AI for that. Yeah, that's simple, but
Yeah, no, I mean, if we all would aim into that direction, I think it would be already quite impressive.
yeah.
For
In
sure.
fact, Michael Jackson's talked about that many years ago, no? Like, if you want to make the world a better place,
Side of the mirror.
take a look at yourself
Yeah,
and yeah, make that change.
that's so true. And you were already saying about AI changing the landscape of work, that it's taking over a lot of jobs. Probably with AI, robotics together, it's even gonna go even more crazy. How do you see us moving into that? What do you think UBI, universal basic income, would be something that could be interesting or maybe actually dangerous? A different business model will develop. What kind of scenarios are you envisioning, and maybe also seeing the centralization with AI, major powers over there? How what is your intuition of where we're going with this?
I don't have a clear opinion on that because I haven't dove deep into for example, I like to be a little bit data driven, and now it's so difficult. But
Is it difficult?
it resonates from the solutions that I heard until now. The minimum wage is something that resonates a little bit, but at the same time, it breaks completely the basics of capitalism and liberalism, right? So that would be a big change because it is right now as we see it, or at least we are based in a society of interest. No, try to give interest to the market. Market is rewarding me with money for that. I don't know, but let's see. What's your take on that?
It's very hard. It's very hard. I do believe that we are, regardless, moving into a direction of less profitability
Okay.
because technology is just taking so much more of our productivity, of the efficiency. It's everything is just what before maybe was costing so much to produce is now super cheap. And I think it's gonna get cheaper and cheaper. But then if we're in a free market, that means prices would be dropping. And then if that is the case, margins will be also going down. And with all the debt that we have, it's quite impossible to maintain that, right? So how we would have a deflationary system with technology in a super debt-based inflationary system that needs inflation. So with all that, and then on top of that, we have jobs that are being cut and people are not earning their salaries. I think we are entering to a moment where we will need to ask ourselves a lot of questions.
Yeah,
So honestly, I
that's
don't know.
right.
That's why also I'm wanting to have these conversations to really ask the questions, because I'm like, guys, some things are gonna change and we're gonna see just a lot of new things emerging. And yeah, this is also why I was so interested in Bitcoin too, because I feel that that is one way of decentralizing again money, leaving also the money in the hands of all of us, and allowing a deflationary system to maybe evolve. And that in some way also gives me some sort of hope of that AI could develop into something that is really beneficial for all of us and not just to make profit for just a few. Because, yeah.
First of all, that's super interesting, all you've said. So thanks for sharing that knowledge. And maybe it's the change that we needed as a society. Like,
Big one. Yeah,
no?
definitely.
Like how far or how sustainable is the way we are living right
Not
now.
at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Also, uh, while while you were explaining that, I got some I got a point. AI, it's like trending topic,
Mhm.
but I also believe that we give to AI too much importance in today's economy and in the short, medium term economy. Like if we look around in our town, our country, the vast majority of businesses that are producing the that are the economy no, of our place, they are not using AI.
No.
Like the vast majority,
Yeah.
from medium to large enterprises. So I think it's we we also need to see this as okay. Let's relativize a little bit, no? And it's gonna come. We're gonna see it coming, and in the medium long term, it's not gonna be for me 5-10 years from now.
No, I see what you're saying. And I think that's also that weird tension, right? That we are kind of sensing that, okay, there is this new world that is unfolding, and then at the same time, we still are kind of trapped in these old, very rigid systems. And then at the same time, we're here right now where just ChatGPT is just completely transforming how maybe we did essays
Yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
and
We
then a few
we are
things.
overthinking it. we are overthinking it.
Yeah, but
Totally.
like, it's just that conversion, like, I don't know, just that mix of everything together where we still have to pay our flat and eat and have money for the normal basic things, and then at the same time
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a whole new world that could be imagining and truly science fiction things, and it's just,
yeah,
yeah, it's just that weird tension that
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel is just sometimes so disorienting, right?
yeah. Let's accept it
Yeah.
as it comes.
I love that. I love that. Um, and what do you think within that acceptance? How do you think we can maybe grow that consciousness that you were talking about in the beginning?
Good question. Um, uh, how I am trying to impact also coming to the same to the same topic as before. Um I'm trying to expose myself, as I assume you are doing here. Like you had these great questions, no, and you're trying to explore them by having conversations with people, and that's amazing because your great questions, I'm sure that a lot of people have and will spark some level of consciousness in them, as you did in me with these topics we are diving deep into. So by sharing and exposing ourselves to other people and using technology for that, because that's some of great the great side of technology, that we can bring people together in a very easy way.
I love that. And in that regard, how, I know you can't talk about your new business just yet, but maybe can you share a bit of what is your compass? What's your base?
So it it is related with how I define success. Some years
Interesting.
ago, when I joined my corporate role, success was having a good money at the end of the month, and that was it. And that was in the point that I was at that moment. No, now it has changed because I have seen and I had experienced myself that I was wondering day by day, like, is it really it? Is it really it? And right now, I find myself in a position in which I I strongly believe that aligning your work with your purpose, it's gonna be really it. So by this change of definition into success, that's why I'm building projects that could have a good impact, no, into some people, and technology is perfect for that because the scale is huge.
And what happens when AI takes over your job? What's then our purpose? What's happening there? Because I totally agree with you. I'm also very much in tune with that idea for myself of aligning purpose and work. And I was asking myself that question of, okay, what happens when AI gets better in everything that we do, creates better whatever we're doing, and how is that gonna impact us? How are we maybe not gonna define ourselves so much with our work?
So I don't think that we will reach this point in which we're gonna kill ourselves.
Okay.
Like we are building AI.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not me, or not we two in that conversation, but it's human people who's
Mm-hmm.
building AI. Um,
But I mean, AI is being built by humans, but with what incentives?
So that's a great question, but I don't think I have an opinion on that. I could speculate,
Yeah.
like there are people with very honest values, no?
Yeah.
Who are really trying to develop this technology because it could also benefit a lot of fields, no? Like medicine, like mental health, the way we eat. A lot of fields are gonna be benefited from AI and its technology.
Mm.
And if those people has also the ambition of impacting in a positive way our society, that those would be a great wise.
Do you think AI could become in some way so human that it's gonna be scary for us in a human, just a
Like the movie, no? The Hair
like,
movie.
yeah.
I don't know. Um, maybe we reach to this point in which we decide to have an AI partner instead of a real a real human. I don't know. I don't like that. If it turns into this thing, I don't like it. But let's see.
And what is consciousness in that sense for you? Because I feel that this is really then asking the question, what is human, what is not, and what is consciousness and what's not?
I don't really know. To be
I
100%
don't have
honest,
an answer either. It's not that they
that's a
yeah.
that's a great question. Um, I will dive deep on that because for sure there are many interesting points of view. But I don't know.
And just the human part, what do you think makes us human?
Here's my take. Maybe the our five senses
Mm-hmm.
that we are able to process uh, feelings by by a lot of sensors that I think that AI and robotics are not developed to that point, and maybe to replicate uh, ourselves into that, oof, it's gonna be a tough task.
I was listening to another podcast where
Okay.
there was one guest talking about, his name is Mo Gaudat. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing
Okay.
correctly, but he was proposing an experiment to just really check, have AI be checked of its consciousness or awareness. And it was using the double split quantum physics experiment.
Okay.
And maybe you're familiar with it. I'm not sure all of the listeners are familiar
No,
with
I'm
it.
not. I'm
Okay,
not.
so I'm not a physicist, so please don't judge me with my explanation of
I want.
experiment. But but essentially, it's a experiment where they do twice the same experiment, but once with someone observing the experiment and another one where no one is observing the experiment. And
Okay.
the results of that, where someone is observing, so there is consciousness there, it's one result, and then the other one, it's a completely different result when no one is observing. So by actively just being present, we are changing the result of life, essentially.
Wow. For me to understand this,
Yes.
like what kind of experiment are we
So
talking about?
it's particles being sent through a double split.
Okay. And just by the fact that someone is there observing?
The results of how they distribute and how they arrive to the um, to the end front is
Okay.
different.
Okay. That's interesting.
And he was suggesting that AI should be maybe part of that experiment. And then he was asking the question, what happens? You think that it's going to be at some point that AI is going to be able to witness and to influence another result? And well, I don't know.
Um, I do not really want to jump into a field that I'm not really an expert, but that also brings up some philosophical questions, no, on our creation,
Definitely.
why we are here, and there's really something into us, our spirit or whatever, no, that could make a difference. Maybe, maybe with AI we will discover a lot of things regarding our beginnings, no?
I think that's very
And
beautifully said. Yeah.
no, because if we are trying to, or we will reach points in which we are building humans, but AI humans, let's see how far can we can we arrive.
Yeah, maybe even understanding what it means to be human.
That could be a very good title for this for this conversation.
Yeah, that is true. Understanding what it is to be human. I love
Yeah,
that. And what are the things that you're most excited, looking forward to?
bringing it down to my life right now.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to fail and to fail faster because I feel that I'm learning a lot from my recent experiences, and AI is helping me also to fail faster because we are able to build things and to access to technology so much faster than it used to be needed to start in this case an MVP, no, or a prototype of any product. So I'm willing to fail faster to learn a lot from that.
That's so interesting because it really challenges the way that we see failure, actually, right? Because I feel that we have a lot of bad connotations related to failure.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm trying to change at least how I see failure.
How do you do that?
I wrote a sentence the other day that it was that confidence is not about it's not about being right. It's about being okay with being wrong.
Oh my gosh, this is powerful.
So you have to trust what you are doing and where are you heading to, and you're gonna be wrong 100 times during the way. But I do believe that at some point we'll look back and think, okay, how cool was that this journey that we are experiencing right now by taking these risks and everything that comes with it. Like for me, this conversation it's a real example of that. Um, the first moment when you wrote me regarding this proposal, I fear kicked in. Like, what are you gonna talk about? No, but we're here and I'm having fun. So thanks for that.
No, thank you, because it's definitely what you're saying. It's this sensation of being vulnerable, failing, not doing everything right, and being okay with that. And I think also what we talked about in our previous conversation, where you were saying how it's that sensation of not knowing, and also that taking step by step something toward
Yeah,
a place that is unknown.
yeah. Starting is the whole point.
Starting is the whole point. And how do you balance that idea of, okay, so I have an idea in mind, and then also bringing that down, but then realizing, okay, it might not be how I really envisioned everything, but maybe it's even the
Yeah,
real.
that's one of the learnings that I think most valuable learnings from this previous experience, because we started a project with a cool idea, but we didn't we didn't put effort into validate that idea. That's why the first thing that we are doing on this new project is to validate that. And my days right now are I'm having conversations with professionals of mental health, because the first thing that I want to do is to validate, no, not by my ego of, okay, I think that could be helpful, but I want to do it the other way around. I want to see how does these people work, and realizing, okay, that's it. That's what they need. It's not gonna be me saying that's what you need. It's gonna be you asking me what is what you need.
That's such a massive insight, and it's, I think, very challenging, especially when you start your own business,
Yeah.
to detach from
Yeah.
your idea
Yeah,
and ego.
that's right.
How do you do that?
Um, I'm trying to do it right now. Let's see in some time how this turns out. But it's understanding that your role, my role here as someone who wants to build a product, is to bring value, and value is gonna be defined by who's using it, not by me.
Mm. And how do you detach from the thing that you want to create and not maybe identify too much with it?
That's that's a shift into, for me, it's shifting into, I want to build something great because I like how it sounds, like me, the entrepreneur who's building, into, okay, what's my purpose is to impact in a positive way people around. Then I need to build something that they are actually uh, wanting me to build it, right?
Yeah, I agree, but
Or
not.
or maybe for me, and that's the framework that I'm using, because it's true that there are also people who is redefining industries. No, we've seen it with OpenAI. Uh, Someone had to have this vision of AI helping people. It's people was not yelling at them, okay, I want you to build this model because it's gonna help me with my shopping list. Not right,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to work with that framework of understanding what people need, instead of me coming with a solution is coming from them. Also, it is shaped from my previous experiences, and one cultural thing that at Amazon uh, we had was that working also backwards from the customer to the product. and they had a concept that it's so interesting, that is the flywheel, that if you use it for your product or for your business, it always, everything starts from customer feedback, and from then everything happens. But yeah, also working um, backwards from the customer. You need to start something, right? uh, a simple example. um, you want to write a book. You start the best you can with that book, but from that moment, you want to work from the customer feedback. You want to benefit the customer,
But sometimes the customer maybe doesn't know what they want.
but they know what they don't want.
Okay, so you start with that. Okay, so it's really about how you ask questions.
Yeah, yeah. There's a book. We've talked about some books. Um, one one friend of mine recommended me that one when he knew that I was going to jump into that adventure. It's the mom test,
The
and
what? Sorry, the
the mom test.
okay, interesting.
Uh,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and it's a very simple one. It's a little book, but it emphasizes during all the book in to avoid influencing the customer when you want to build something. Avoid influencing the customer. You have to be an observer. It's so easy to fall into the trap of asking your family, "Oh, what do you think of that project that I'm building?" There's an emotional thing
Yes.
there that,
Positive or negative, but there's
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, maybe negative also, negative and positive. That's right. But you fall into that, no, into influencing the answer.
Mhm.
And I learned also from this book that we need to be an observer, or in that case, I have an idea, but I'm an observer, and I want to understand if this is viable by them, not by me.
Mm, I love that because this is also really how we really learn. I mean, this is
Yeah,
something that I'm also trying here
yeah.
on the podcast. And quick question about what you're maybe learning, asking those questions, validating the new business idea. What kind of, if you can, share some insights that you're gaining now through the questioning of these specialists?
So, um, not proposing solutions, instead asking them to use their creativity, imagination
Mm-hmm.
to, like, literally, one of the questions is, imagine that you have um, a magic tool from which you could create whatever you wanted for your professional thing, no? What would that be? So even to this point, we are not trying not to influence there with a solution. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
Ideally, I want someone to tell me, this is what I mean. But also, we're asking several questions to understand what are they doing in their day, because it's so difficult, no? That someone really explains you that, yes, if you build me that, I'm gonna pay at the end of the month that money, because it's gonna solve me a lot of problems. That's the real value. That's what we're trying to find.
And what are things that are in the mental health space that are missing or that these specialists would love to see change?
In that case, related to mental health, um, the value of these professionals is is their consciousness, no, the experience they have into recognizing people patterns, no, or ways of communicating. We want to empower that with AI in order to allow people focus on that,
Okay.
not on repetitive tasks, not on being distracted from these conversations. So that's kind of an insight of what we believe that it would be helpful, but it's again, I don't want to attach myself to that idea because I want to understand it from them. Yeah.
And do you think that right now we are going through what a few people say it's one of the biggest mental health crises that we're living through?
Yes. um, Maybe because also, yeah, we are, and
Why do you think that is?
because we challenge ourselves every day
Mhm.
with the information that we receive. Um, so I try to imagine my life without all of those inputs, or how is other people living their lives, and it would be so much easier because I I wouldn't second thought everything, right?
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Hmm.
Like you would live your life, do the things that you do, and you wouldn't have this list of 100 opportunity or things to do during a day to choose from, you know, and that's difficult when you, and that generates anxiety, right? To have this many options.
And do you think, okay, so it's basically also what a lot of people say about dating, right? That we have now with Tinder and Bumble and Hinge,
Yeah,
all these, we suddenly have a catalog to choose from, and then it's just
yeah, yeah.
never good enough. Or do you feel
That's
that
a good example.
do you feel that all the climate change, sustainability things, that everything is getting more expensive, that this uncertainty of where we're going, is that also helping for that mental health issues? Is that
Probably,
right?
probably, but I think that there's this could be challenging for people who has a higher level of consciousness.
Why?
Um, because they are able also to focus on that. I had this reflection traveling to Indonesia, where I realized that pollution was
Insane.
insane there. Yeah, and of course, people was focusing um, on covering the basic needs there. They couldn't focus on pollution because it was not on their list of basic needs to. Maybe the word survive is too much, no, but it's related to that. So yeah, if we are saying that we are reaching or moving towards a society with more uh, conscious or with a higher level of consciousness, being aware or starting to being aware of how we are destroying our planet, it also creates a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you relate with
Oh,
this?
100%. 100%. And I sometimes feel it's just such a, yeah, it's just we are connecting again with the roots of what is this planet, and we can start to look beyond just surviving. And I think this is
That's right.
making us grow even further. But at the same time, I'm also asking myself this question of, is this just because we're in this privileged situation that we now ask these questions of purpose and just making sense of who we are. But at the same time, I feel this is the most important thing, that since we are already in that privileged situation, so maybe better make the most of it and collaborate for everything to even develop and evolve naturally further into just aligning natural life
Yeah.
forces.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for me. Um, and we also, like it or not, we have this responsibility. What we're gonna do, we're gonna look the other way and act like if we haven't noticed this. No, long term, it's a burden that we don't want to live with.
Yeah.
So let's act the best we can.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And I think being aware of that is already, being aware of our responsibility is already a major step.
And also being aware of our limitations.
Oh, that's a big one.
No, at the end of the day, we are individuals. In my case, I'm starting a business. I think that I have honest values, but also for my self-interest. Like I don't neither. I don't want to put myself in a place like, okay, I'm a guru of sharing truth. No, but I'm gonna try to honestly do the best I can for my self-interest, because I need it, and for my surroundings. And if everyone does this, we're gonna be a great society.
That's, yeah, I agree for sure. And for you, the idea of success, you already said like it already shifted and changed. How are you gonna measure success in the future now with your new venture?
Mm, Having more freedom, it's
Mm-hmm.
also very important for me. So I'd like to reach a point in which I can at least organize myself or be flexible with my days, not to miss important things like meeting friends, family, my partner. So having this possibility to organize my days, it's gonna be a good measure of success.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that we barely pay attention to. Freedom. That's,
Yeah.
I think, something that um we are not really, usually in this society at least, not really so much paying attention to, isn't it? Because maybe,
Um,
what is freedom for you?
Freedom is a topic that we, as you mentioned, no, we do not give it a lot of importance maybe to it, but I will I will rate my success based on that also.
Yeah, I often ask myself, how is it that we are in a society where we are, where freedom is a privilege? And this is something that I'm sitting with a lot, because it just blows my mind how how I sometimes feel guilty for wanting freedom, you know? And it's this thing where I'm like, I don't know. I remember one moment that I was volunteering somewhere, and it was just 2 days or something. And we were volunteering for, I think it was a B Corp event, and we had to put in chairs and organize the food and all that stuff. And I wasn't feeling super good, and I had to find someone to ask if I could leave earlier. And, I felt so just I was in a little cage. I felt that I was not a human being free to decide what to do with my life in that moment, that I was not feeling great. And I was just like, wow, I need to ask someone to ask for permission to be able to leave here. And it was not like, oh, I can just organize with my peers to see, okay, how can we organize ourselves if I would leave now? Could you cover my shift? That was not like, we could maybe organize something with each other. I would never leave someone just hanging there and just, well, you just take care of everything. Like, that was not my intention there. But the idea just blew my mind of, okay, besides just organizing with my peers, maybe doing a volunteering job, I had to still ask someone if I could leave. I was just, wow, this is crazy. And I think that was really a moment of really realization of, how do I want to live my life? And at the same time, this is what most of
What
us
needs?
is,
Yeah,
we're used to, and also this is how most
yeah.
of us make money.
Um, that's super interesting, and that's why movements like corporate rebels are happening. Because, okay, let's be realistic. Um, we need our economy for progress, for being able to maintain our lives. Maybe what we need to do is to transform it from within, no, from corporations and people, and we need to build places where people can find purpose in them, in their little things. Like one of the benefits that I liked at Amazon culturally is that they did really empower you to uh, moved on the different branches of Amazon, like finding your place in which you could mm, do a better job, feel more aligned with your skills, no? So we cannot expect for everyone to have this need of building things, because that's not the case. Every individual has its own curiosities, no? But we can make better places for people to work and to unleash their full potential there, right? And AI, we could also bring AI to the conversation and say that we're gonna be able to remove a lot of repetitive tasks, that these are tasks in which people can um, probably be not that fulfilled, right?
I'm with you there. Yeah. And could you maybe explain a little bit for people that haven't read Corporate Rebels? What do they talk about?
From what I read, um, they are trying to to change how organizations are structured, no, in terms of the hierarchies and management systems. Um, from my understanding, they are trying to empower each individual to be more autonomous and take more decisions, leading to adding more value to the company. No, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Have you seen that in Amazon? Did you see that at least maybe idea to move into that direction?
I haven't. I haven't. At the end of the day, hierarchy was super defined,
Okay.
and for sure it will be a big challenge to reorganize uh, a corporation of plus 1 million employees.
Yeah.
But many people leave these places because they do not find purpose there, and they reach a point in which it's not sustainable anymore. It's what happened to me, no? So that's a big challenge, but in the future it will need to be faced. Yeah.
And do you think that it is because I hear or I heard, and myself included, especially when I started reading Corporate Rebels, Reinventing Organizations, that, oh my God, how is it gonna be? How does it work without a hierarchy? It's completely delusional. How do you see that?
Theoretically, I like it, but I haven't put it into practice.
Okay, I think that's beautiful, very honest answer.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, yeah,
I will try my best to align to those values when the moment arrives with uh, with my thing. So we could catch up in some time and see how we will face and how are we facing
let's
these
do that.
organizational challenges.
Let's do that. Can you maybe make a prediction of what you could imagine how it could work and also what kind of challenges maybe you would encounter?
Okay.
So we make a little comparison in some time from now.
For me, the challenge, from what I know right now, is to change this mentality from hours, clock in, clock out, to results. And if we as individuals really understand that, we're going to have a lot of freedom. We're going to be so much flexible, but we also will have the responsibility to bring the results to the table, right? So that's the challenge. The challenge is to reach the point in which we are so honest that we can accept responsibilities instead of working hours.
Right. So it's about being honest with ourselves and others.
Yeah, and we are shifting to that, so it's gonna happen.
I love that. I love that optimism as well. And closing the loop a little bit
Okay.
into building AI businesses or in general, building a business. What kind of businesses do you see now would be interesting to build within this changing moment that we are in? And what is your sensation prediction of where we are going with businesses in general?
So um, let's put it in two different topics.
Right.
For me, AI is super trending topic, but it's not a reality in the vast majority of businesses right now.
Yes.
So being able to really understand that integration into our economic system will have for sure a lot of potential, because we can benefit a lot from LLMs and from AI. And also a more maybe a speculative thing, but if we are shifting into purpose and alignment, all the markets related to better eating, mental health, fitness, we see a lot of examples. Now people is tracking with Hoop, with the Aura Ring. Like there are different businesses that are doing super good because we want to improve our lives. And for me, all the market related to that will keep growing exponentially, because every time you see more friends and people who's looking or seeking looking for mental health support. And maybe at some point it was people that reached some levels that were not sustainable and they needed help, but right now a lot of people who has not exploded yet is looking for those professionals because they see the benefits in their lives, and that will keep growing.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. What about community connection, human connection?
That's a great challenge because AI, as we are using it right now, in my case, maybe it's dividing more than
Connecting.
joining, right?
Mhm.
More than connecting. I don't know. Let's see. Do you have a take on that?
I could imagine that businesses that are bringing people more together, maybe experiences, hospitality, I could see that growing.
Grow,
I mean, it's already big, but I could see that,
growing even more.
yeah, and having a very important space in our society. There is a concept called third spaces that it's pretty well known in the US because I didn't know that. It was a friend of mine. She's from the US and she told me, oh yeah, those are third places. And this is just because they barely have third places in the US, and third places are those places that are not your home and not your job. So all these,
That's interesting.
right? Because we are very used in Europe to have, especially in Spain, to have third places. It's restaurants, it's parks, it's the beach,
It's running clubs.
all these things. Exactly. It's these things
Yeah.
where I think it's just we come together, even if I don't know, that's why I fell in love with restaurants, cafes, and all that. Even if you don't interact and have a conversation with someone in a restaurant or cafe or something, but you're still sharing a space, those third places. Same with beach, parks, all that. You're still sharing a space and with people that you don't know, but you still feel like you're part of something. So I could imagine that just gains even more importance and has an even bigger impact in our society.
I like that. I'm writing it down.
Too. And just to go into already closing a little bit our conversation, how, just because this podcast is called New World in the Making, how do you see that new world in the making? How does it look like for you?
let's be optimistic.
Great. Mm-hmm.
I see a world in which we value helping each others, and we really see the benefits from helping each other. I see a world with a lot of third places,
Me too.
and then a world in which people get the confidence to explore, to start ventures, to build new projects, to in a world in which people really believes in themselves.
Wow, I love that. Amen to that.
Thank
And
you.
last question. What are things that you're sitting with right now? Could be questions, could be things that you're just curious about, things that you're haven't figured out yet, but maybe there's something calling you.
Yeah. Um, so lately I've been thinking on, because my focus right now is on building these products with AI, no? It's putting the boundaries of where I want to use AI and where I don't want to use AI. So we are having this motto, no, in the products that we are building, is to put the human in the center and empower it with AI. And with this vision, it's where you start placing boundaries, no, on how far should it move into our apps, and that's what I'm thinking about. I don't have a clear answer yet, but yeah, that's been sitting with me lately.
I totally get that question because it really touches on the very moment that we are living in right now. I feel it's that question of, yeah, how much should technology,
How much of it?
how much of it? Exactly. Exactly. Anything else that you would like to share and say, maybe something, some recommendation, suggestion for listeners?
um,
Some other book recommendation?
no, I want to thank you for this time, for this conversation.
Thank you.
Um, and anyone who's listening to that, I would like to encourage everyone to expose themselves a little bit more and to use fear as the compass for the next decisions in their life. For me, it's been a super exciting journey this month. So if I have to share something, is this, to encourage people and anyone who wants to reach out and understand about our product, which we're gonna share in short. Feel free to reach out, to write, and
I will put all
that be
the
all.
information in the show links. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. And what a beautiful way to end things as well, in such a beautiful, vulnerable way, because I think this is what really is AI showing us so much how much we don't know and how amazing it is to be more vulnerable and be, what were you saying in the beginning? Be comfortable with
Failing.
failing. So
Yeah,
thank you so much. It was beautiful talking to you.
same, same.
Please support this podcast by subscribing. The more subscribers we have, the more we can grow and reach more people.